so grateful to have this time with you. You know, we're new friends, and I couldn't be more grateful and really proud to be connected to you. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Before I give you the microphone, I just have to say out the gate, it has been such a treat to dive into your work and getting to know you more. You know, when we met, and we'll discuss this, it was for a panel that you have coming out at a summit. And, I immediately felt a connection with you. And I'm a very friendly, warm person, but that doesn't mean I'm going to connect with somebody right away, the way that I genuinely did with you. And then taking deep dives into your work. I mean, your Instagram. I mean, girl, I'm just literally, I feel like I'm sitting down with a girlfriend right now. So that's my intro to get us going into this, what I already know is going to be such a fucking powerful conversation. So thank you for making time to be here with us, girl.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me. And anytime, when I connected with your work, I felt the same thing. And I was like, this woman is a force. I need to bring her to my community. I need to get in her world. And then when we connected in person, or virtually in person.
These days it's in person.
So I just had so much fun, and I was so lit up by our exchange. And at any time, I'll stop what I'm doing to be here.
Oh, thank you. Well, okay. So let's get right into it. And I actually, I think a great place to start, first of all, is can you bring our audience up to speed of what drove you to, come into the career that you're in? And really, it's like career, profession, yes. But honestly, I feel like you're on a mission. That's more of how I view what you're doing. So if you could just give us a little bit of background to what drove you to become a business and leadership mentor, and specifically, the arena that you're in by way of the specific kind of clients that you cater to. I think that would be a great place to start.
Yeah, well, and I love that you say mission, because that's really the heart of all of it for me. We can make money, but you're not moved by something if you don't have a mission. And I think my work works through me. It gives me a reason to show up. And my mission is really seeing leaders be well-resourced in their work. So to give you some background, my early background was in the wellness and spirituality and yoga and personal development spaces. I have all of the ERYT letters and thousands of hours of teaching and training and facilitation. And I found myself supporting and facilitating women's leadership trainings in Bali, Indonesia for about 3 years. It was this program called Shakti Initiation. It was under the umbrella of a women's 300 hours. So it was a training for teachers. And the most incredible, women from all over the world coming to be part of this program. We spend a month together in the jungle, in the mountains, north of Tabanan, just completely remote. Spiders, you get woken up at 3 a.m. by roosters, the whole thing. And these phenomenal women who are already leaders in their own communities, right? Already leaders in their own places of work. And a lot of them actually had leadership skills. But what I saw, not only during that time, but what I also saw reflected as this mentality in sort of the spiritual realms, was people who were grossly under-resourced, and that impacting their ability to actually lead, to them not having the fuel for their mission and the support for their skill set and their service. And it was kind of commonly understood in these spaces that if you were going to be of service, you were committed to struggle and poverty. And I just felt like that was bullshit.
Love it.
I'm like, this isn't working for me, and it's not working for the people I'm watching. And this level of struggle is actually not serving anyone, right? I like to make the comparison of if you're in that position of toothpaste and ramen noodles, right? What you have to give is not the same.
Right.
Right? You have it to give within you, but you don't have the support to get it out there. And so that really is what lit the fire in, like, how do I help people with skill sets, people who are here to heal, people who are here to lead, people who are here to teach and transform, be well supported in getting this work out there. And so it started with growing my own business. And I was doing coaching, like personal transformation coaching, using the skill set I already had. And a lot of the clients who were coming to me at that time were then, if it just kept coming up, like, how do I make money? So I'm like, we'll learn together. We'll figure it out. I'll tell you what I do. I'll tell you what I know. I'll take another class. And I got very scrappy and I learned quickly and I went all in and I made a lot of mistakes. And that's sort of how I came into business coaching. And then eventually I started to notice that I was having more impact so I work with more established entrepreneurs who have an established business and who want to scale it. Because I found that, as you grow and evolve, so does your skill set. And my skill set was, I was making more of an impact with people who already had the foundational work done and were ready to amplify, were ready to reach more people. So that's really what I do now. I help entrepreneurs scale. And it's about them being well-resourced and through thorough development of their leadership skill set. Because when you are playing at a bigger level, all of a sudden it's less about, your moment to moment, like mindset or feelings or inspiration, and more about your leadership skill set. More when you're leading a team, when you have a community, a rich community like you have with, dozens or hundreds or thousands of people showing up, how you feel when you wake up first thing in the morning, and like your insecurity just isn't the most important thing. Yeah. Right? You're called to lead, you're called to something bigger, and you show up anyway. And when we don't have the leadership skill sets in place, it becomes really challenging to do that. And I've been behind the scenes in a lot of big, flashy businesses where everything is on fire behind the scenes because those core skill sets were not established. Yeah.
Gosh, that's so important, first of all. And I know as an entrepreneur who has a lean team, very powerful team, the importance of just how I show up every day for myself and for my team makes the biggest difference in how everything is progressing in my business. So, if I didn't have strong leadership skills, if I didn't already have that awareness of, just, it's not all about me. And it comes down to this, ability to be really, really steady in the face of all challenges that are always, every single day, there's challenges coming out, whether it's personal life or business, right? It's like both, but holding that steadiness and that strength and that resilience and that grit to move, and compassion to move everything forward and to keep it in a very healthy place is so important. So to have someone like yourself as a teammate to your clients, I mean, that's huge. So there's something that I want to insert into this conversation in doing deep dives into your work. You're such a fantastic speaker. Honestly, I literally can watch your Instagram posts are so great listening to you speak. And there's some articles that, you've had out, and there's something that I want to read from one of them that will lead us into a very powerful question. So this is a mix. I've kind of taken two pieces out of this article. Yeah. That was in Thrive Global. I'll put it in the show notes. And I put it together. So everyone develops insecurities over time. Hypothetism inflames them to the point where it becomes difficult to conceptualize our success, much less to create it. It might surprise you to know that, as uncomfortable as it may feel, brushing up against self-doubt is actually a positive sign. It indicates a growth edge, and embracing it will be the key to your breakthrough. By shying away from this chance to create and expand, we stunt our development and fall prey to our own destructive thought patterns. By leaning into the discomfort of our growth edge with an eagerness to face the next challenge, we push past hypotheticism towards success. The answers never come from escaping the challenge. They come from engaging with it. First of all, I said that word correct, right?
Yeah. Hypotheticism,
Perfect.
Like hypothetical. But
Yes.
if I'm like hypothesizing, like I'm making up these stories and almost, and I'm going to say this because it's kind of funny, but like hypothetical meets pathetic, like to the point where it's like really unnecessary, which is what we do. Is there, do you want me to riff or is there?
Yeah. Oh, I want you to riff. And I just want to say, right. I mean, one of my creeds in my brand is seek the fight. It's moving towards the challenge. So when I read this, I mean, I genuinely have chills on my body right now. Yeah. I was like, this is brilliant because that was a word that you coined. So please riff off of that. Yes.
Yeah. And I was watching, as we create, we have a natural tendency. This is what our brain does, right? It figures out, I've got the idea, or I've got the opportunity, or the challenge is in front of me. And then I'm going to calculate all of the ways that I can avoid pain, discomfort, being seen, whatever it is. And our natural, for a lot of people, the most natural response is to lean back from that, right? Maybe I'll calculate more. Maybe I'll think about it more. And in this place, we learn nothing, right? When we lean in, then we get to experience what we're really capable of. And so when I wrote that, I was watching this play out in the field that I work in. And what I realized was like so much of the entrepreneurial journey and so much of your own journey of leadership, self-leadership is in between the cracks, right? Is in the spaces where there is no SOP, there is no calculated path. And when we avoid those opportunities, we miss the opportunity to meet the best parts of ourselves. We miss the opportunity to serve at our fullest capacity. We miss so much of all the juiciness in life that is waiting for us in the spaces where there's the discomfort. And we have to meet the resistance, right? It's a beautiful part of being alive. And I think sometimes we think the resistance itself is an indicator that something is wrong. Oh, I'm uncomfortable. Oh, I don't feel good here. Oh, I feel stretched here. But we're being stretched open. Right?
Yeah, so good. I mean, there's so much to say about that. And, you and I have talked about this. I actually feel that we have a different, crisis, if you will, where it's like, there's just so much comfort now that, discomfort is really something that, nobody wants a part of. I mean, we can get food delivered. We don't have to get up off our couch to get our food fed to us, our temperatures controlled. I mean, everything is just so catered to us feeling, good, basically. And that's not how we evolved. And I know in my own life, I could never, ever be the woman that I am today, attain the confidence, attain the self-trust, the strength, the resilience, had I not always chosen to move towards the things that made me uncomfortable, that stood guard at the desires, the goals, the ideas, the mission, the vision, So I love that you so eloquently and so powerfully elaborate on this subject, because I do feel that it needs to be heard louder and louder and louder. Whether it's you're an entrepreneur or not, you could be, anything in your life, but this is a very essential piece to, like you said, it's like, you're never going to fully express your fullest potential if you are not touching and really like jumping off those edges, right? I call them ledges, right? Just leap off the ledge. It's crazy.
Right. We're not here to sit on a shelf. I also think about it like, yes, people, right? You talk about your team. You're like, I have a lean team and they're phenomenal. I also have a lean team because right? When we're all together and we're all in sync, I don't need 30 people behind me. And a lot of people surround themselves with yes people. I'm sure you've also seen this as, a former celebrity makeup artist and through your work. And the people I value most in my life are the people who are going to call me on my shit, who are going to ground me, who are going to tell the truth, who are going to bring my edges and give me real feedback. Because if I am just surrounding myself with comfort, I'm actually not living in a reality. I'm living in a falsified reality.
Yes. Yeah, you're so right. I feel like I've read this from you before, but it's the people, and I'm so in agreement with this. People who are just agreeing with you, not truly on your team. They're operating out of fear or something that isn't really in your best interest. We need more high performance conversations where, you're not worried about hurting the person's feelings, because the root of, where the individuals are connected is you're on the same mission. And if you're on the same mission, like a sports team, it's like at the Super Bowl and you're in the fourth quarter, it's like, there's no time to be like, hey, Hannah, I just want to say, it's like, you got to fucking beeline to the truth kind of thing, right? That's when you know that you're all on the same mission and really in service to each other. So I think that's so, so important. I want to ask you, as someone who is coaching and mentoring entrepreneurs who, are deep in the game already, 6-7 figure entrepreneurs, like what are some of the through line challenges that they face, mostly like mental and emotional, versus like the actual ins and outs of their business?
I think there's a misconception, that at a certain level that the challenges are, and I mean, some of them on a technical level are different, but that the mindset challenges are that different, because they're not. First and foremost, right? There are still, imposter syndrome still comes up. The need for validation still comes up. The questioning of, your own ideas still comes up, because so much of the work of being an entrepreneur is doing these things that is going first, is doing these things that like nobody, you can get a template, but there's no guarantee, and trusting your instincts. And I think I see a lot of people get caught up in, and this is more on the technical side, but in the idea that more is more, right? We've got money rolling in, all of a sudden it's inflated team, all of a sudden we need all these things. But really, like, often the magic happens in those scrappier moments, So I'm a big fan of the way that you operate, right? A lean team, a clear mission, everyone on board. So I see that happen a lot. I see a lot of people afraid that they can't sustain it. Right? If I've hit a certain level of success, if I've hit a certain stride, can I do it again? Is it real? Was it a fluke? Did I just get lucky? Am I going to turn around and be the emperor with no clothes on? Right? Yeah. In feeling like there's this now pressure to sustain a certain level or to perform at a certain level. And this fear that what they've created and established isn't valid. And which is interesting, because you think that would change with evidence. And we're still human, right? We still feel those feelings. And then I think the other thing I see is on a higher leadership level is people confronting and wrestling with being truth tellers and being voices for change when it's not convenient or not popular. Because the truth is, the more eyes you have on you, the more you open yourself up for other people's opinions, the more success you have, the more you become a target for that in some ways, and I've had, clients get trolled, in an ad campaign or something like that, and then turn it around and make it a keynote. Right? Because we were able to look at it as information. But there is that challenge of like, how do I continue to be true to myself? How do I continue to be true to this work? Because there's the opportunity to like appease or please now the masses. If I've got more exposure, there are certain formulas and certain things you can do to water your message down and kind of make it general to everyone. And then you lose the heart of your message.
Oh, you're speaking to my heart, girl. Because, I mean, how I feel. Authenticity is a core value of mine. It is constantly a part of the conversation with me. So I actually want to ask you, what does authenticity mean to you, and how important do you feel that it is for, entrepreneurs to really stand in their most authentic self, period? Like, not just for your business, but just period.
Well, first I want to say that people pleasing is the antithesis of leadership. Period.
Can you say that again? It's so good.
People pleasing is the antithesis of leadership, right? And leadership is it's intrinsic before it ever becomes external, right? It is this deep conversation that we engage in with ourselves, with God or spirit or a higher power, if that's something that you're connected to, but it's really personal. And authenticity to me is about this constant responsibility to truth, this constant willingness to listen and to ask yourself the challenging questions, right? If you're not questioning yourself, and I'm not talking about that level of hypotheticism and delving into your insecurity. But I'm talking about, like, is this what I believe in? And is this what matters? Right? Or is this what looks good on paper? Or is this what will please the people, on my team or the people I look up to? Right? It's this willingness to get so clear in here. And then a deep level of permission to share that and to stand in that and to have the courage to be whatever truth it is, even if it's inconvenient, even if it's unpopular, even if it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and oftentimes it will be, right? Because you're going against sometimes, even people that really matter to you, like important people in your life. But, I truly believe that it is literally the most empowering thing, because it keeps you in your autonomy at the same time, right?
Yeah.
You're operating for others and you're not in your most autonomous self, right? You're being ruled by other people's ideas, opinions, validation, etc., all the things. So then that digs into confidence. How can you really be standing in true self-confidence if you're not operating in true autonomy and authenticity to cultivate that confidence, right?
Right, because you're not trusting yourself.
Exactly. And then, that's a great bridge into, the value of self-trust with, in your clients, like you said, they're like the first ones on the dance floor, right? These are leaders and it's scary. It's like, that's always the best way. So, because it's like things are new, and even if things are similar in, what their business is focused on or whatever, but they're, like I call path creators, where they're operating their unique mission, their unique focus, their unique, everything. And it's like a first. And so I feel like your trust, the self-trust, is always being pushed on. So how can you speak to that and the importance of it for entrepreneurs to really lean into trusting themselves, and how that plays out into the development of their business?
Yeah. And often I think we're taught that trust is earned. And to an extent it is, but actually trust is given, right? Trust is generous. It's this generous thing that we extend to people in our lives. It's a risk often, right? So, you're stepping into some level of risk when you are trusting your instincts as an entrepreneur in your business, when you're like, we're going to go this way. I know this is the map that's been laid out. That's what makes sense on paper, and I'm not feeling it. We're going to go this way. That's a risk, but it's also, it's a risk. Sometimes and this is why I say trust is given. It's like, I'm sure there have been times in your own life where you have chosen to trust someone or something that didn't earn it beforehand, right? That didn't necessarily give you a reason to, because you felt that. And so it's this act of listening and responding in truth. And it's something that we can build, but it's also something that we can be, and I encourage for your community, for the people who are listening, you to be more generous with intrinsically, right? In the process of yourself, right? I can trust me to show up. I can trust me to create the thing that is calling me. I can trust me to say no when I've met a boundary or a limit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a skill set that you don't stop needing.
No.
No.
Or improving and strengthening. Like,
no.
No period at the end of that sentence. No. I think, I'd love to ask you, when you personally find yourself in moments of, maybe where you're feeling self-doubt or your self-trust is, and self-confidence, all that, is being kind of pushed on, like, how do you get yourself through those moments? What's your kind of protocol?
That's a great question. My first protocol is just to listen, right? And then to notice the layers. So if I almost see my emotional body or understand that as kind of like the ocean, where I'm like, there are these layers on the surface that fluctuate quite frequently, right? And then there's a deeper steadiness and an anchor as well, right? That's my worthiness, right? My truth, my commitments. And so there's just a willingness to give myself space to acknowledge what I'm feeling and not necessarily let that carry me off somewhere else, right? Let that take me into story or let it inform how I move necessarily. And sometimes it does. I am human. I lead with imperfection, but really, like, my practice is just in acknowledging and allowing that without judging it or judging myself for being in it, because we are emotional beings, right? If you study Brene Brown's work, the research shows that we're actually emotional beings who think, not like intellectual beings who sometimes feel. Mm-hmm. And so it's like understanding that, like, the wave and emotion for me is just a natural fluctuation of who I am. Like, I have more energy in the morning maybe than if you call me at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Depending on the day, right? But just noticing that, like, this is a natural part of the wave. And then what do I need to listen to here? And what do I just need to allow to be moved?
I love that, girl. It's so in line with how, what I believe and how I function. It's, I would say, like, feel the feeling, observe it, feel it, notice it, question it, learn from it. Just, you don't need to become it. So you described that so beautifully to my own heart, because it is, and you said it, and I wondered if the word would come out. But when you said there's an anchoring piece, like, the first thought is, yeah, that's your truth. And you said it. And that is so important. Hannah, like, there are so many moments where it's like, I have to tell myself, I know the truth. The truth in me knows. It's like this affirmation statement, because there are those moments where perception is skewed by emotion, by some stimulus and reaction. And it's a great, so I love that your protocol was like, you stop and you listen. That is so powerful. That is self-awareness, right? This is emotional intelligence too. It's like not being so reactive, and just going, hold on, let's just pause for a moment and let's observe. And that's so important. I love that I love that that's your protocol. It makes perfect sense to me. That's why you do what you do and you are who you are. But I just want to put emphasis on that because, for those listening and watching, just want to keep that at the top of their mind. It's like, we have a choice to not always like what's going to, our reaction or the thoughts that come in, but we do have a choice once we feel the stimulus, what happens after that? And the more that you can pause, like you just mentioned, and walk yourself through that process, witness those emotions, feel it. and then decide, okay, how do I want to operate from here? I mean, this is self-mastery. This is self-regulation. This is empowerment. So this is badass.
Well, and you need that. I love that you brought up emotional intelligence, because I am obsessed with emotional intelligence work, and I've done a lot of it. It's so good and so brilliant and so counterintuitive sometimes, and that's when we find ourselves running a business, running a team, serving a lot of people at a very high level. Things are going to come up. Things are going to come up that trigger you. Things are going to come up that challenge you. And if you don't grant yourself that grace and space and permission, you will respond in ways that aren't actually in line with your truth, because you didn't give yourself the chance to pause and see, like, what in this is the thing that triggered a childhood wound or told a story, versus like, who do I get to show up as in this opportunity and rise above what I'm experiencing in a brief moment. That moment, I want to tell this person to, like,
fuck off.
Fuck off.
I'll say it for you.
Thank you. It's I don't know if we have, little ones listening. But yeah, where you want to tell somebody to fuck off, or where you can actually come back and be like, how do I want to be able to see this? If I look back at this 6 months from now, a year from now, and think, yeah, I showed up like the best version of myself, because I gave myself the space to step into that.
Oh, it's so good. When everything shut down in 2020, I would speak to that on solo shows and stuff. It's not just going through the motions, but it's really zooming out and being in constant witnessing of yourself, but zooming out and going, how did I move through this challenge? Was I a mess? Did it, take me for, or did I stand in my power and my truth? And did I give myself that, those moments of grace and compassion? I say compassion is a high performance tool, because it really is. It's like the lubrication. So you don't get rigid and you don't crack and you don't break, and it's acknowledgement that's so important to self, that shit, this is hard, or shit, that sucked, or all the things. But you know what? I'm just gonna, I'm going to do the best I can and show up the best I can and move forward. And so I think that's so valuable and so important what you just shared, in just, giving yourself that grace to then have that space to then decide how you want to show up, who's showing up to that next, moment. It's so, so beautiful and so important. There's a couple things. First of all, I love that you have a background in health too. I think that coaches, business mentors, people that are in your position, I think personally, I feel, because how, health is a big part of the conversation. How can it not be when you're, reaching for your fullest potential? That's a very, very important piece. Right. But I find that individuals like yourself in your profession are just more powerful and more effective, because you're not just so focused on the business, but there is this more holistic understanding and approach that is going to support optimal performance out of your clients. So I want to talk with you about this concept that I feel we're maybe starting to move from, but it's just been so deeply ingrained, especially in America, which I'm a proud American. I love, that we have this country that says, like, hey, you know what? You got an idea, you want to make it happen. Like, this country will let you do it. Right. However, there is a story that has just been so drilled, which is, if you're not grinding yourself to some kind of illness or something, or like over stress, like, then good luck on being successful. And I have such hardcore boundaries around my self-care. I have so declared and decided a long time ago, that's never going to be my story. fuck it. If it takes me longer to reach the pinnacle moments of my business and but I maintain optimal health and I age like a badass, that's real success to me. So I would love your thoughts on that, especially with your health background. And yeah.
I love that you challenge these ideologies, because it's the same thing of like, you know, if you're spiritual and you're here to serve, that you need to be broke, right? Anything that says, and that's why I say well-resourced. When I talk about wealth, I mean well-resourced, and well-resourced is your health, your time, your relationships, and your relationship with money. Because if the story is that any one of those things needs to be compromised or doesn't get to be a part of the picture, then then that translates as, okay, I need to shrink part of my needs and part of myself to achieve and to validate myself. These don't equal each other, right? Not possible. And what I love so much about the nature of entrepreneurship is that so many of the people that I work with and I see have found themselves in career paths, in jobs, in systems that told them that they weren't allowed to want what they wanted or want what they needed and what was true for them, and they weren't going to get it, right? And instead of, and many people, you know, you saw this with like the women's national soccer team or Naomi Osaka, right? Saying, hey, my mental health is a priority, right? Hey, I deserve equal pay. And what I love about entrepreneurship is so many people who have challenged systems and been told no, we're like, fine, then I will create a new opportunity. And a lot of the time we think that we have to kill the old paradigm for a new one to exist. But the truth is, we can just create a new paradigm. We can create a new marketplace. We can create a system that serves all of ourselves. Because, you know, when I talk about leadership, I'm talking about embodiment. I'm talking about bringing all of you to the table. I'm talking about space for every facet of your being and your expression to be honored and acknowledged and serve at your full capacity. When you say, you talk about compassion being a high performance skill, I think it's the high performance skill. I heard you say that, and I'm like, it's the high performance skill. Because how do we create a world that has space for all of the different facets and expressions and nuances of what it means to be human, to support people in that? Without it, we can't.
No, and to self.
Yeah.
Like, it's huge. It's so huge. I mean, there's so many moments in my life where, you know, where I hit a hard spot. And I mean, I say, like, personally, I don't need to be an asshole to myself to be motivated or to push, to grow. Like, I don't, you know, it doesn't work for me. I'll push, but I push from a place of love, from a place of self-belief, from a place of grit and just hunger, right? And when I hit those hard moments, and this is with my girls that I, you know, mentor and coach as well, it's like, hey, hold on, let's back up here. And let's, especially when you're showing up and you're genuinely giving it your best, how dare you not hold compassion for yourself, you know? And of course, compassion to others as well. I mean, you're so right. It's, you know, it's in my world, it's like the curve to the edge, you know, too much edge, it's too much. You need that harmonization. Now we're like in the masculine, feminine energy conversation that I love, you know, but it's so important. So, you know, I love that you represent this, you know, this really important idea too, that like, you don't need to fit into a system that doesn't work for you, you know, create your own system and let that system actually expand, you know, all of us and what is possible for all of us. It's huge. You know, the 4 mile, you know, it's like people need to see it, the 4-minute mile. People need to see it to believe that it's possible. But this is where real leadership comes in, right? Like, it's those risk takers and the ones saying like, hey, I'm going to challenge this, you know, ideology, this, way of this norm to hold steady in my truth and ultimately my desires. So I love that. Do you, as a badass entrepreneur who's leading badass entrepreneurs, on the subject of like health and, really like lifestyle, are there a couple of lifestyle components in your own life that help you to perform at optimal levels on a daily basis?
Definitely. Right now, that's movement. If I am not in a consistent movement practice, I'm just not as connected. I'm not as embodied. I'm not processing the same, right? I'm not at the same level of functioning. Green tea right now. I used to love coffee, but it hurts my stomach, and it gives me a little bit of anxiety or like jitters. So I've been on a green tea kick for a couple years now, and
so good.
I love. And breath work. I do breath work with. There are a couple. He's a naturopathic physician, and they developed this method called reset breath work. And I do their breath work, and it's super powerful. And it, I'm going to butcher this because I'm not like a neuroscientist, but it basically moves you into peak experiences, right? It's a very rapid breath work. And so it changes the shape of your brain, right? And it, I created this big project recently, you were part of it. We'll talk about it later. But like I had a vision, the vision for it came through from a breathwork experience because it expands your capacity on a chemical level to be able to like connect with yourself by moving into these peak states and breathwork.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then also I would say relationships are something that really nourish me and keep me in a high performance state. Is like the time I take that's not work or that's not achieving to connect with people I love. There's some kind of, it feeds me, conversations like this, they feed me. They expand me in and keep me in the realm of what is possible. Mm-hmm. And not just what is probable. Right.
So important. So important. Yeah. What's your take on boundaries? I mean, boundaries are a huge subject. I feel like they're a podcast in of itself. It's actually a focus in my membership in this month. It's a core activation subject, but I truly believe that it is such an important piece of the conversation when you're talking about empowerment, when you talk about leadership, everything related. So I would love just a general kind of, riff on the importance of boundaries, and even specifically like maybe with your clients, like witnessing them enforcing or not enforcing boundaries. How is it playing into their business and really their overall well-being?
Oh my God, that's so good. And I actually have a great example for you with boundaries with clients. But first, I just want to say that boundaries are sexy. Boundaries are hygienic, right? It's like emotional relational hygiene. Like if I'm going to be, say I'm an esthetician and I'm working over your face all day and I put on deodorant, that's really considerate of me, right? Because you have to breathe very close to my armpit. Boundaries are like energetic and relational hygiene, in that when I am around people who are very boundaried, I feel more comfortable because I know that they're going to tell me what is okay for them and what is not. Right? When I communicate that in my relationships, there's so much more ease, there's so much more clarity. And I think sometimes we blur the line with boundaries because we want people to like us, right? We don't want to make people uncomfortable. Especially, I notice this with women and people of marginalized identity, that there's a fear that if I enforce a boundary, that an opportunity might be taken away from me, right? And the truth is, like, we're not serving anyone by watering down our boundaries. And I'll talk about this in the context of work, because when you're in a leadership role or a mentorship role, especially, your job is to serve the consciousness of the person in front of you, of the client, right? And that is a privilege and it is a responsibility. And you don't serve anyone by tiptoeing around the truth. And so there have been multiple experiences, and I walked a client through this yesterday with one of their clients, because they were coming into this situation where they had noticed a pattern with a client and they hadn't called it out. And they had seen the pattern and they're like, oh, this is going to be an issue later on. And instead of doing the hard thing and leaning in and saying, hey, I'm noticing this thing coming up for you. And I'm noticing how it's impacting your ability to show up in this container and what we're able to accomplish together, right? Instead of doing that, waited. And then a situation happened where, of course, the pattern played out. Yeah. And I'm like, you could look at this as a problem or you could see it as an opportunity. And the opportunity there was to really clarify the standards, right? If I'm in this conversation with you, say you're this client, my job is to call you in. And that is more courageous and more compassionate. If you think about compassion like a soft skill, compassion is fierce, right? I am fiercely taking a stand for who you are here to be and what you are capable of. And I'm going to say, hey, Rox, I'm noticing this come up and I know that, and it's okay. And for us to do the work we're here to do, this is what I need from you. And we get to look at this together because I know what you're capable of is this, and what you're showing up like is this, and I am here to hold you in this. And that might be uncomfortable to acknowledge, but I know you got it.
Yes, girl. I love it. I love it. It's so good. It's so fucking important. I love it. Oh my goodness. And that's also real respect, I mean, for self and for the, right. And it takes courage. But this is where you build this confidence in self, and this is where you build integrity, right? And you learn to trust the operation of your most authentic self as well, right? So I love your whole analogy that emotional and what was it? The hygiene. That was just so good.
Yeah. Right. It's like brushing your teeth for your relationships. But really, like I love that you say respect, because if I really respect and admire you, if I really care about you, I'm going to level with you.
Yeah.
And it takes, that's what it means to really be in relationship.
Yes. Truly.
If I don't have the courage to do that, then I am actually doing both of us a great disservice. Right?
I agree.
If I can't bring the truth to the table in our exchange,
mm-hmm.
then I am not actually respecting you.
No. And there are serious detriments to self and to the relationship when those boundaries and when you're not coming to the table with that truth. So yeah, I think it's just so important. I think that, and even just in terms of like business, entrepreneurship, like when you don't have strong boundaries in place, not just personal boundaries, but with self, but like boundaries with your clients, with, the external, it's building a very shaky, unstable foundation. I feel like, would you agree?
Oh, completely. It's avoiding building a foundation at all. Right? Because what are we standing on if it's not built in trust, mutual respect, integrity?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, it's like so personal. It's like, I can't actually bring boundaries to a relationship with someone else if I'm not holding them with myself.
Yes.
Because I don't know them. I haven't embodied the work.
Right. No, it's so true. It's amazing just how it's all so connected, right? You're talking about leadership. It's like, there's no way you're not talking about boundaries at the same time. You're talking about, it's just, everything is really, it's not original. It's just really just kind of elaborating powerfully on these specific areas of conversation and making it very clear that the reason why you hear these, conversations around boundaries and, other things that we're talking about, seeking the fight, rising to the challenge, facing, is because, I mean, this is what it takes to be an empowered individual, to, create a life of fulfillment, whether you're an entrepreneur or not. Not everybody's designed to be an entrepreneur. I mean, would you agree on that? Because it's definitely.
Yeah, I think it's not for everyone. I think it's something that I don't know if it was 2020. This is an older statistic. It was either 2020 or 2019, like 80% of new entrepreneurs were women. Right. That's but amazing. I think that there's also something about that bubble that makes it seem like being an entrepreneur is somehow above.
Yeah.
Working in a traditional job. And I don't believe that at all.
Agreed.
Right?
No.
Opportunities for us to serve and create and evolve everywhere.
Totally. Right. You could be a leader in every, being a leader doesn't mean that you're an entrepreneur. Or being an entrepreneur doesn't even mean that you're a leader, right? It's just first starting with just how you lead yourself in life. Like that's right?
Yeah. We're all in leadership roles. Like whether we want to acknowledge that or not, whether we like it or not, there are as many ways to lead as there are people. I think we have a very a curated idea of what it means to lead. Like we need to wear like a pantsuit, and we've got a corner office with a lot of windows and an X-figure salary, right? And we have a boardroom and we have important meetings, and we're like on our BlackBerries. Now I sound really old, like all the time. Right? That's not true, right? The role models, we are constantly faced with opportunities to lead ourselves, but also the people in our lives. So, there may have been a bus driver that was an example for you. I am, my sister's she's having a baby right now, like as we record this. And I know that everything I do and the way I show up will inform that little human about what is possible and how to show up and who we get to be. And we have that opportunity with our teammates. We have that opportunity in our relationships. You have that opportunity at the grocery store. You have that opportunity to take a stand for kindness, on the street when you see someone, shout out an insult, right? You have an opportunity to be like, actually, we don't do that here. Right? There's a better way. So we are all in leadership roles, and the most important leadership role we're in is with ourselves.
Yes. Yes, girl. Oh, I love it. Okay. I want to switch gears up subtly. And I just want to ask you, is there, what's currently, I know that your work is a constant source of inspiration always, but is there anything that's really just getting you up in the morning right now with an extra edge of, and fire in you? Like what is that?
Right now, it's conversations like this. A lot of what I've been doing in my work is having conversations with people in leadership roles from so many different walks of life, right? People who are in academia, people who are in boardrooms, people who are on the ground doing real humanitarian work, and getting to see the universal through lines of what is possible in so many different contexts, and watching and connecting with humans that are reshaping the way we know the world. Like that for me right now it's almost like a drug.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I understand.
Like I work out with you on your work all day. And so that for me is like,
it's so fun. It's so motivating. And it is, I know, as a podcast host and just having the conversations with incredible people like you, it's like getting it to do this work is so stimulating, even just like the conversation, but also preparation for it, like taking deeper dives into the individual's work is such a joy for me. So I love that. I want to ask you, so you have a really exciting project underway right now. Can we talk about that?
Yes.
Your summit. So
Yes.
Lead Well Summit, which I'm very honored that, I've been able to be a part of. Please tell us where this came from. What's it all about? When's it coming out?
Mm-hmm. So the Lead Well Summit, it's a 14-day immersion. We have over 20 speakers, so that's over 20 hours of content with leaders and experts in a diverse array of experiences, vocations, expertise, all coming together to have conversations about what it means to be a wealthy, well-resourced leader, reshaping the conversation about what leadership gets to look like and sharing really, really unique perspectives on that. They're like raw, edgy, relevant conversations. And this was born from a desire. Actually, it was born in a breathwork session. And I first saw it kind of as a vision of like, I want to create the biggest stage for conversations about what it really means to lead, because I want to see more people, and we're offering it completely free. 14 days. It's been a labor of love, but because I know that leadership is the foundation. Even if we're talking about entrepreneurship, if your business is a vehicle and wealth or being well-resourced is the fuel, leadership is you in the driver's seat. And I know when we have more people who are well-resourced and in the driver's seats of their lives and their work, what is possible? And I think often these conversations are just not enough of them are had, right? You talked about the great need for high performance conversations, because being in this room with you, being in this space with you in your community right now, I am expanded, right? When I interviewed you for this project, I am expanded. Part of me is like, oh, this much more is possible. This much more is available to me. I am connected now. I'm woven into a network that holds me at a higher level, that holds me at a truer level. And so it's a 14-day immersion. We begin September 20th through October 4th. We have some of the coolest people. Like all our speakers are like, viral TED speakers, international best-selling authors, award-winning humanitarians, just some of the coolest social entrepreneurs on the planet. Yeah, like if you love Philosophy 5, it's all people who are like at her level.
Oh,
and it's
cute. I can't wait to share this. I mean, it's such a brilliant project. And honestly, I think it's also so valuable to have this be put out in the world right now, always, but right now, especially, there is so much going on in the world that is scary. I say that in quotations. I'm not saying that there isn't real dangers and fears, but keeping it real as I do, fear is such a, it's like sex sells, fear sells, right? So there's so much fear-based information that's being put out, and it's affecting an individual's belief about like, how do I move forward? Like, what's possible? Is this even worth it? Am I going to fail? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like preventing this forward progression of going for it in their lives. And I feel like the more, that we can have these kind of conversations put out, and these, stories is proof of people who are, who have been doing it and are continuing to do it despite whatever challenge, all the challenge. It's very inspiring. And I just believe that this sort of inspiration right now, more than ever, is so important to put into the ears and the minds and the hearts of as many people as possible. So even like having this conversation with you, it's like, it's not just, I feel like I'm hanging out talking to my girlfriend, but really, like, what I'm ultimately trying to do, what we both are doing in this conversation is giving our listeners and viewers the energy that, is needed to stand in your truth, your authentic self, to, seek the fight, to move towards the challenges, despite whatever's going on. Like, fucking bet on yourself, go all in, and don't be afraid to fail. Failure is a part of, the process of succeeding. And yeah, so I love that you have created this. Does it feel like a calling to you? Because I feel like you're so perfectly suited to create. Yeah.
It feels like shifting the conversation from it being about me and what I want to it being about us.
So powerful. We
need more leadership now. We need it not yesterday. We need it, like yesterday.
Like exactly.
We need it now. And we need more leaders who are grounded and rooted in truth, who are rooted in integrity, who are fiercely compassionate. And that's one of the things I love about you, is like your compassion is fierce, right? It's not, it is unwavering. You are continuing to take a stand for yourself, and in doing so, taking a stand for so many people. And we need more of that, right? We need people who are not just trapped in the cycle of chasing milestone to milestone.
Right.
We've got mountains to move, right? We're not here to just get through it.
No, we're here to fucking thrive.
We're here to thrive. We can get into it, right? Not just get through it.
Yes. I love it. We are team rise and thrive, girl.
We need a coffee mug.
We do. I'll work on that. I love it. You're such a brilliant woman. Okay. So before I kind of lead us into some of the final questions and things I like to do with my guests, I just want to ask you, is there anything that we haven't touched on in this beautiful, powerful conversation yet? Maybe it's something that you wish more people would ask you about, or just that you would like to speak on more, just something, or a final thought that you would like to live in this conversation.
I think I just want to acknowledge your community and thank them for taking the time to be with us and engage in this conversation and this work. And I want to remind them that each of you listening, you are living leadership, that you are greatness personified, that you are rich with responsibility, and that you are here to be well-resourced and supported in carrying out the work that you're here to do.
Oh, this is so good. I just adore you. Thank you. Okay. So one of the questions I love to ask my guests is, if you had a magic wand and you could give the masses one habit that would have a large positive ripple effect on their life, what would it be and why?
Oh my gosh, that is so good. I think it would be, it's between self-worth and self-trust, which I think are so intricately linked. I really, it's self-belief. That's what it would be. The ability to listen and believe in and know your capacity. Yeah. If we had that, then we wouldn't need this conversation.
Well, but reminders are good. Reminders are good. I mean, I'm a very confident, self-believing, self-worthy woman, but there are moments where it's like, okay, I need to remind myself, like, hey girl, you got this shit. Let's go. Yeah. So it's so important. And I love sharing that, because I know that I am a strong woman and I am confident, and that is all fucking real. But this is also real too, that I hit those moments. I am not immune to them at all. And in fact, that is not even as powerful if that was the case. The power is feeling those punches and getting fucking back up, in my opinion, in my world, which I feel like, we're linked in arms on that, concept. Yeah. Goes back to the article piece that I read. Like,
take physical punches though. I'm not like in the ring. My mother is a martial arts instructor. So
no way.
Yes. Yeah. She's like a 3rd degree black belt, Shaolin Kempo. She teaches.
That's amazing.
I did take a jujitsu class once when I was living in an ashram and I was doing all this yoga and it was so quiet, it was so peaceful. And I went to a jujitsu class and I've never felt more alive, but physically taking the punches.
Yeah. I know. I always say when I talk, I don't take physical punches. I kickbox and
but as a metaphor, I'm all in. Yeah.
The metaphor. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not trying to get punched on my face, but I don't want to ruin my makeup. No, I'm totally kidding. I love that your mom is a martial artist. That's so badass. Okay. So rapid fire words. This is one of my favorite part of my conversation. So what I'm going to do, Hannah, is I'm going to send you some rapid fire words and send to you. And you are going to tell me, you do not have to be rapid, but just what comes top of mind and top of heart when you take these words in. What do they mean to you? How are they expressed in your own life, etc.? Ready? Okay. Okay. Fear.
Force. I think fear is just this energy that is forcing a narrative that is not always rooted in anything or truth or compassion. I think fear is often a chemical response. I think fear is a natural part of our human experience. And, when I said force, I think that often when we operate from fear, we're operating from a place of force. When we're leading with fear, we're leading with force. But I think fear is also, for me, often an indicator that something exciting is on the next edge. We're not talking about like, I'm in harm, I'm in danger fear. When I feel fear, I'm like, ooh, I might be onto something. Right. Totally. I might be meeting an edge here.
Yeah. Right. Like go that way.
Yeah.
That's so good. Okay. Challenge.
When I think of challenge, I actually think of it in like a very playful way. Like, I dare you to lead. Right? I dare you to step in. I think challenge is opportunity.
Okay. For those who have, in my community who have just been really steady with me, they're like, oh my gosh, right now. Because that's literally, or my girls that I coach.
They're like, where did she
always challenge? It's like cha-ching, cha-ching, opportunity. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like sisters of the same cloth. I love it. Next word is passion.
Fuel. Passion is like the paint, right? Your life is a canvas. Passion is like all of the colors. This is what we get to. It's the richness of experience. It's the richness we bring to an experience, right? If I come here and I'm just asking your questions and you say passion, I say fruit, which I love. Right. I'm not bringing the same color. I'm not bringing the same flavor. I'm not bringing the same richness and depth of experience and expression to the conversation. So I think.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You're not bringing the same temperature. Girl, I can feel your heat. There's so much passion.
Passion is like the saffron.
Yeah.
You need it.
So good. You need it. Oh my goodness. I love it. Okay. Next word is curiosity.
Superpower. Curiosity is absolutely a leadership and life and self and relationship superpower. Because if I am not in curiosity, I'm in judgment, right? And that's what our brains do. They're taught to kind of like judge and analyze and box things and categorize them, and that's their job. But when we're able to condition curiosity as a response, we open up a whole playing field, again, of opportunity. We open up a whole playing field of options. We open up so many more solutions to everything that's in front of us.
Bravo, girl. That was badass. I love it. Oh, so good. Okay. Courage.
Necessary. Courage is, I think, for those of us who are here to thrive and here to live lives that are big and full and true. Courage is like oxygen. Yeah. It's like the blood in your veins. It's something we again and again have to call on. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing more admirable to me than people being brave, right? Truly brave, right? I'm going to stand in my truth. I'm going to do the hard thing. I'm going to do it anyway, not because it's shiny or flashy or for accolades, but because it's true.
So good. So good. Two more. Resilience.
These are all, again, like these are just all.
Aren't they so good?
Life and leadership superpowers. Resilience is the ability to get back up. Resilience is the ability to still believe in what is true and beautiful and possible when everything around you gives you a reason to quit, right? Resilience is coming back. Resilience it's a process of honoring. I think it's a process of dreaming as well.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
It's daring to believe in what can be and not reduce yourself to just what is.
So true. You are an epic woman, and this is the final word. Are you ready? Well, here comes the basketball. No, I'm just kidding. All right. I'm excited about this one. Excellence.
A habit. Excellence is a habit. It's a practice. It's a practice that, and to achieve it, it requires a lot of the opposite, right? A lot of the pursuit of excellence and the fumbling of excellence. And it's something I strive for and like you teach, and I love that you teach this from a place of worthiness, right? Because I'm worthy of experiencing my own excellence, and I'm eager to meet it again and again, day in and day out, not because I think I have a deficiency of it, right? Just because I know it's possible. And I respect that appetite.
Ugh, girl. Yeah. That last piece right there. The writer in me just got so excited. Hannah, you are fucking brilliant. I truly mean this with all of my being, my heart, my soul. I am so, so grateful to be friends, to be connected, and to really just continue, forging a very powerful relationship with you. I want to honor you and say thank you for not just this incredible time and conversation, but for being such a powerful contributor, for showing up in your truth and your most authentic self, for being brave to, move towards all the challenges that present themselves to you in your life, and to be such a strong support system to other powerful contributors who are doing the same thing in their life, and just helping this expansiveness of, humans and consciousness to go back to our coffee mug, girl, to fucking rise and to thrive in life and not just be here and surviving.
Wow. Well, I'm so grateful to be here too. I'm so grateful to know you. I'm so grateful to walk alongside you and to share with this courageous community that you have cultivated, because building community is work and an incredible gift. And yeah, I'm honored to walk this path with you and to know that we're not in it alone.
No, we are not. I am so team you. And on that note, girl, please tell everyone, everything will be in the show notes. Where can they, find out, how do they stay in touch with you? More information on the summit, all the things.
Yep. So the summit is leadwellsummit.com. Lead well, like yeah, like doing it. You can connect with me on Instagram. That's really where I hang out. I'm on the Facebook and other social medias, but I don't really spend time there. So at I am Hannah Koenig, it's a hot pink background. It's hard to miss me. And please come join the summit. Come listen to Roxy. She nailed it. If you loved this interview, you're going to be blown away by everything that she shared. And there's so much goodness there. And we want your leadership. We want your presence. We want your participation. I want to see the work that you all are doing. I want to know how this conversation impacted you. So if you want to pop in and give me a DM, I'm here for it.
I love that. Thank you so much, Hannah, for everything. I can't wait to, experience the summit as well. I'll be sharing it on all my channels. You are just a brilliant woman and I appreciate you. So thank you so much, girl. This is such a to be continued situation with us.
Definitely. Thank you for having me. I couldn't hang out here all day.
I know, truly. I think you go be an aunt. You're about to be an aunt. So I will talk to you very soon. I'm so excited. Congratulations.
Thank you. I can't wait.
Yay. All right. Bye, everybody.